Okay, good afternoon. I'm surprised to see so many of you here, especially after the lunchtime grave slot. So thank you for turning up. Last year I had eight people, so it's good effort on your part. Welcome. My name is Galloni and I work for a company called Assima. And today I'm going to take you through what we think has happened and how systems training has moved on over the years, and hopefully an exciting new product at the end of it that you all want to go and come and purchase and make my sales manager very happy. So what I'm going to do is go back through and have a look at where it all started, and probably where some of you remember things that look like this. How many people used to have these on their desk? They're fantastic, aren't they? Brilliant. Lots of paper. How do I do something? Pick up the phone. Can someone help me? That's where we started from. The training Bibles. And then came along these wonderful things called CBTs. Brilliant. Let's turn our lovely Bible into a CD or floppy disks, depending on how far you want to go back. And you get a big stack of floppy disk drives, CDs, DVDs as they moved on. It was fantastic. We all sat there through all our learning. We can learn SAP Finance, SAP HR, Oracle, whatever you want on these disks. Brilliant. Problem is, everybody implemented those systems differently, and you got given a load of generic training material that looked nothing like the systems you used, the data you used, anything like that. My system doesn't look like that. I've got customized processes. How do you then distribute training materials that you've effectively then had to customize for every single client that uses that software? It was a nightmare. And that was what everybody thought the solution was. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with this. Everything that we've just talked about falls into this model about remembering 10% of what you read, 30% of what you see, and 50% of what you see and hear, because people started to become a bit more interactive and build audio classes and try and make things a lot more interactive, and that's where sort of e-learning came from. But then we start to move into the 70 and 90%, and things like simulation tools came on the market. For some of you, you may remember something called VR3. It's a wonderful product. 15 years ago, it revolutionized training in terms of simulations, using screen captures, and they were great. They solved the world's problems. Let's use simulations for everything, especially systems training. Let's go through, let's create our specific content, let's replace all our training clients, let's use these. It's e-learning. We don't need to bother with training manuals, training clients, any of that stuff, and it was brilliant. And just to give you an example, this is what it kind of looked like, if I can find it on my screen. It was brilliant. Here's a system. I can play around. Let's have a look at the menu. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh, let's try and have a look over here. Oh no, I can't do that. Oh, can you just help me? Oh, I've got to do this. Right, let's click over here. Oh, I've done something wrong. Oh, help me. Can't I scroll up and down? No, I can't do any of that because it's a flat screenshot. It doesn't actually give me any information whatsoever. It's click and point, and if you click enough times, you'll get it right. And that's really where the screenshot simulations came from. So what you then had to do is you had to go back to your training clients, create all your classroom processes, get all your data sets together, and use this for, basic training. So you still had a nightmare with trying to produce your training material, especially systems training. And probably some of these ring true. What Assima came along and did was they produced something called cloning. Cloning revolutionized the marketplace, because what we did is we produced a product that wasn't bound by the screenshot technology. It cloned systems. And what that meant is that when you took the simulations, they looked, felt, and acted just like the real thing. They were interactive. You could do shortcuts. You could do multiple paths. Everything reacted just like the real thing. And it was great. 10 years ago, we came to the marketplace with this technology. And just so that you can see what that looks like, I've got one here. It's great. Everything on here. The system menus, the drop-downs, the tooltips on buttons, scroll bars, all of this is cloned, is a clone of a system. It looks, behaves, and acts just like the real thing. And not only did this mean that end users got a more realistic experience, but it means from a business point of view, we could start to replace training clients. And it meant from when you're producing the content, instead of you having screenshot-based material where you basically had to recapture everything when anything went out of date, because everything in here is an object, if we had new objects, I could move them around, I could duplicate them, I could do lots of different stuff to try and keep my content up to date. And this was a great step in terms of that screenshot technology. And it's brilliant. I have to say that, I work for the company. But it really is brilliant. The problem is, and most of you will be familiar with this model, is that it's all very well producing e-learning material, classroom training, but the problem is most people learn most of their information on the job, the 70-20-10 model. And the challenge that we have as an organization in producing technology and the services to go with it, but also everybody else who's trying to produce materials, is that how do you make sure people continually develop, continually learn, and more importantly, retain all of that information when they're doing their day-to-day tasks on the job within your own organizations. So what most people came up with is an in-application support system, EPSS. There's wonderful gimmick terms that the industry has put onto this type of technology. We're going to allow people to learn on the job. We're going to give them information while they're using these systems. It's fantastic. It solves all our problems. No more classroom training, no more producing simulations, no more of these. It's great. And just to give you a sense of what that looks like, Assima in their wisdom 5 or 6 years ago produced something like that. It's an application. I have a toolbar. At any point I can ask for tips, and these things layered on top of the application give me information about what I should be doing. Or even better still, I can click on help. It looks at what I'm doing, finds a process and says, oh, I think you're trying to do this. And if you're not sure what to do, you click on the buttons and it lasers and helps you and tells you where things are. Fantastic. The problem with these systems is that they're limited. They're limited in terms of the applications they support. They're limited in terms of how much content can be delivered and who is actually seeing that. Most of these systems are a completely separate content store. So it means that you've got your learning content management system, you've got SharePoint, you've got an intranet site, and then you've got to duplicate all of that help content into the application. So it means that maintainability of that content becomes a nightmare because you're now looking at another content store that you've got to update. No analytics. Most of these systems provide little or no tracking. You don't know who's using content, when they're using it, how many times they're using it, and it becomes a real nightmare. And actually, people then don't use the system. They switch it off because it often offers them no input or no information about what they're doing. So can we improve it? How can we improve it? Can we track what's being used? Can I start to display content based on role, but not just role, things like languages they speak, where they're based, all sorts of different criteria that you want to position content that's unique to the individuals, because that's what it's all about. It's all about being personal. You know, if I'm looking at content that's been created just for me, I think that, you know, I feel more empowered within the business. It's more relevant to me rather than seeing what someone else in another part of the business is also seeing. It might not be relevant to me. It's not the best thing in the world. But more importantly, can we produce content that is based on not just who I am or where I am in the system, but what training I've taken, what time of day it is, and things like that? Well, the answer is, from Assima, yes, we can. And what we've got here is a system that, within a live environment, I can log into. It's called the Mego. I'll talk about this a bit more later. That once I log into a system, I've got various different options. If I need help, I click on this cloud up in the top right-hand corner. I could say, right, I'm trying to process a sales order. So if I type sales in, it starts to give me information. So again, that's me asking for help. Standard sort of EPSS, in application help, I'm asking for some information. So it could be a document. This is where the steam starts to be, but put more coal into the system. Eventually a document will appear there, trust me. I am a salesperson. Works every time. So I can ask for help at any point. But in this case, maybe not. It's all right, we'll move on. But say I know a bit more information. Say I need to go into that process. Some more things come onto the screen. Again, we're giving help, we're giving information. We've got several things happening on the screen. We've got, is there anything I can help you with? Or a bit more information that's attached to the objects on the screen. So again, we're pushing information. And this could be based on my role. Remember, I had to log into this system. So this system understands who I am, what I'm doing, and then presenting information to me based on that. I can also, if I want to, call upon the guidance. It's everything you saw before. There's nothing new here. We're still 5 years ago. But what is new is that, say I move on. We've got a message here that says, if you want to process this order right now, you actually need to do a rush order because it's past 12 o'clock. The time, 20 to 2. So this information is being displayed based on the time, nothing else. Who I am, what I'm doing, but also now, what's the time? And what this is doing is it's improving the use of the system for the user. It's all about presenting information just in time. What's the next best action? This no longer is training. This is improving the use of systems. So in this instance, if you're on the phone to, say, a customer saying, okay, I want to process your order, you can then tell them Okay, there's going to be a €100 surcharge in this instance. You're giving them more information. Rather than processing their order, then 2 hours later, someone in the back office is coming to them and saying, phoning them up again and saying, I'm really sorry, but we're not going to process your order until tomorrow. You're getting more information, improving the use of the system. And if I go through the process a bit more, we've got other examples of this. Again, the system is detecting everything that I'm doing and trying to give me more information based on everything that I'm entering. So again, here, we're taking, and this is where we're starting to improve the use a bit more, is that based on the information that I've entered, and we're taking this information here, we're actually interfacing with Google Maps to bring up that address and that location. And other examples that we use with this is company information going off to company's house. If you've got support systems within your business, it's all about other systems that you might have that people would have to flick between to get other information, do customer lookups, anything like that. We can actually take the information from one system and send the queries and bring them into the same system, so you're not having to flip between different systems. Because these days, you've never just got one information system. It's always 2 or 3 or 4 that all link together. What we can then do, if I go through, just process an order, you'll see, hopefully, when the system wakes up, SAP, what will happen eventually, there we go, is you see the order value. It's 113,000 euros. We're positioning another piece of information to say, okay, stop there. Because we've had problems with people paying us in the past, we've implemented a new credit check system, or a new credit check process. This order's over 100,000 euros. It needs to go through that credit check process. Here is a piece of information based on that order value. It's based on what the system is giving it, information is being given. And it's saying, okay, you now have to go in and you have to go and put a delivery block on because it's over 100,000 euros. Again, if you're on the phone to a customer, you can say, look, we've got a new process, it's over 100,000 euros. Do you want me to try and get it below 100,000 and then you can process that order today? And he says, yes, please. Change the quantity, and that message then disappears. So it's all about reading the system and positioning information. It's the next best action. This no longer is training. It's all about increasing the use of systems. If we go into a different area of the screen, we could do something else. We can block people completely, because we know what information they've been looking on the Mego platform, whether that's a document, whether that's a piece of training material, whether it's a news bulletin, whatever content you want on our platform, we can look at, and then we can build information based on that. In this instance, we're stopping them from using the system. I cannot do anything. And the reason I can't do anything is because I haven't taken the training in this instance. But we could do anything, any sort of criteria you want. We can use this functionality to stop people in their tracks to say, have you done this? Have you done that? I think no. You may think differently, but the system says no, you haven't done it. I need you to do this first before I'm going to let you proceed. And it's, in this case, is a piece of training material. And if I close this message down, it kicks me out. So I literally cannot proceed in that part of the system until I've done whatever it's asking me to do. And I talked about the analytics side of things. This is the platform, if I just refresh the screen. These are all the analytics. If I bring up the right site. So what you're seeing here is the platform, and everything here Everything I've just done, 1345, 1345, 1344, everything, every piece of content I've just touched has gone into this platform. We've reported on it. We can slice and dice all this information. Everything is being tracked. So all those sort of warning messages, any sort of any content use, we can analyze, we can track, and more importantly, you can then use that to improve those messages. You can then start to see holes in where you might need to improve your training, where you might need to improve the information or the knowledge that you want to share with your consumers. What we've got the ability to do is track everything, and then you can use that to improve the use of your systems, because that's what it's all about, is improving the use of the systems. And effectively, everything that I've shown you today is our Mego platform. The cloning piece that you saw is Mego Train. The in-application help you see is Mego Assist. The platform, the portal that you saw is Collaboration. I haven't touched too much on that. And then you've got all the analytics. We have one platform that controls everything. Of course, it's cloud. Everybody has a cloud platform. But yeah, effectively, everything you've seen in terms of simulations, the in-application help, the analytics, everything's delivered from this platform called Mego. And you can have whatever you want, whichever modules you want, or all of it. Please buy all of it. But essentially, it is in one place. The idea is to create a content store that has everything in one place that allows us to deliver that, whether it's in the application, to mobile devices, to people in a classroom, at their desk. Everything is accessible through this one platform. We can even link this to your learning management systems. So people are launching content in learning management system. Actually, it's stored in our platform. So we can link and give you functionality in that instance as well. Has anybody got any questions about what they've seen? Sorry? What was it?
When you were trying, when it was whirling around, why was the delay bringing up the screen? When you looked at the SAP screen.
Yeah. What, in the application? It's because I'm on a Wi-Fi connection, so it's very slow. So I've just been asked about performance. As you can imagine, I'm on a Wi-Fi network with 500 people trying to use it, so yeah, it's quite slow. Okay, so in terms of how easy it is to create some of this stuff, let's just go back to my live application. Just to show you what this looks like, let me just pick a different transaction. If I flip into here, something's already been created. So what I do is I flip into my author view. And anybody can have the author view. And if you want to create these messages, it's as simple as clicking a button, picking an object that you want it on, selecting, opening it up and saying, okay, where do you want to position it? That'll do. What sort of content do I want to create? It can be a remote page. So again, you could have SharePoint content hosted anywhere, website, anywhere where that content's hosted, we can point to it. Or from the Mego platform, there could be content stored, or you might want to create effectively a new web page. And in this instance, let's just call it SU01 user field. This field is used to determine the user alias, something like that. Put the content in, there's my content, and then I click another button, publish, and then that becomes visible to whoever I want it to become visible. So in terms of in-application help and the Mego Assist piece, it's very easy, as long as you've got the correct permissions, to create content on the application itself. And that's the massive point here, is the speed of being able to do that. Often, and a lot of our clients are starting to use this for error messages that systems produce, because let's face it, error messages are not the most friendly things in the world. But they're also using it in terms of, something's broken in my system, it's going to take 2 months to fix it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put messages in based on a certain set of criteria to say, okay, this is broken, you now need to go and do this. Again, improving the use of the system for the users. And hopefully, as you can see, it's very quick and easy to actually create that content. What often takes the longest time is your approval and sign-off process. Because I'm sure, especially at one of our organisations using this, it goes through 15 people before it can be approved to go on the live system. It actually takes us 30 seconds to create the content, but 5 days for it to be signed off. So, internal politics versus application ease of use. Are there any other questions? Sorry, you might have to shout. Okay, so the question was about what benefits our clients see in terms of reduced time to competency. A lot of our clients, in terms of using this, the biggest return at the moment is the cost side of things, because they're not having to do classroom training. So it means that instead of having a 6 or 7 week induction course, they can actually reduce that to 1 or 2 weeks. So it means that in terms of using the systems and getting up to speed, if they use a combination of the products that you've seen today, it means that things in just reducing training classroom times from 6 to 2 weeks is a massive saving, and it means that they can use this product and effectively have that training on the job and help on the job. The biggest thing with that is that instead of, and we see this with a financial organisation, is that they might go through that 6 or 7 week induction period, and then what happens is they still get back to their desk and they still pick a senior person that's sitting 3 desks away from them and say, I've forgotten how to do this, can you help me? And the biggest problem with that is not only is the new employee struggling, but they're then taking the experienced people away from processing. So then things like, if it's a call center, times go up, etc., etc., etc. So the typical one with both the cloning and this product is reducing things like classroom training and time learning, because you can just move it into the application. Are there any other questions? Okay. If you want to know more about this product, we are at stand 22, which is literally on the back wall. Come and find us. We need to sell some software. Okay. Thank you very much.